Assalamu alaikum. I'm Joshua Salam, and welcome to another episode of Deen Talk. The term unapologetically Muslim has become somewhat of a mantra, a slogan for a lot of Muslims in the West, especially right here in America, the US of A. For today's show, it may be appropriate to alter that expression to unapologetically Muslimah, Muslim women. We are going to use the recent Women's March to launch a bigger discussion, a broader discussion about how Muslim women have been on the front lines. They're out there, they're doing the work for a lot of mainstream issues. We want to discuss the milestones. We want to discuss the accomplishments. And yes, we want to discuss the achievements that they have made within the Muslim community and within our group, our greater society. All that and more when we come back. Unapologetically Muslimah. If you haven't noticed, our sisters have been representing in a big way on major platforms as well as the local community level. Today, I have 4 dynamic and outspoken Muslim women to talk about the milestones, the achievements of Muslim women, and how they are redefining the status quo of what it means to be a Muslim woman. Is that the docile person that people are trying to rescue? What does it mean? To my right is Janey Imaani. She's a certified life coach, a counselor, and a daring way facilitator. Janey Imaani facilitates workshops based on the work of Dr. Brene Brown at the World Bank Group. She teaches about courage, vulnerability, shame, and all the obstacles that prevent us from being the person that we want to be. And after watching this show, you're going to be the person that you want to be. She also runs her private coaching practice, which predominantly serves professional women. She is also a mother of 2 beautiful daughters. That's our first guest. But don't go anywhere. Wait, there's more. To her right is Ghada Khan. Ghada is a public health analyst, a lecturer, and a PhD student at the George Washington University. It's a prestigious place if you haven't heard of it. And she advocates, and she's primarily focused on the maternal, infant, and child health. She currently serves as a spiritual program development coordinator at Make Space, which is a local young Muslim group in our area in Northern Virginia, and is herself a mother of 2 amazing children, and they keep her on her toes, and they fuel her passion for advocacy and community work. And you thought that was it? You thought we just brought 2 guests to the Deen Talk? No. On my left is Jamiah Adams. Jamiah has produced educational and advocacy and documentary media for the internet, for the television, for radio, and film. All of it. She's hailing from the San Francisco area all the way on the West Coast, Bay Area. Jamiah marched in and led the communications and digital media for the NAACP's Journey on Justice march on behalf of Mike Brown, who was killed by police in 2014. And later in a 1,000-mile civil rights march in 2015. Last year, she was appointed to the Mary McLeod Bethune House National Historic Site Advisory Commission and was designated as an Empower Social Justice Leader. Currently, she works for MoveOn.org, I know you've heard of that, and she volunteers for Masjid Muhammad, the Women's March Justice League, New York City, and the American Muslim Health Professionals. That's a lot. And that's just our 3rd guest. And to her left is Wajeeha Naeem. Wajeeha is an entrepreneur with experience ranging from federal contracting to real estate investment. Wajeeha also serves as the chairman of the board of Al-Fatah Academy, a private school in Reston, Virginia, and to be a model Islamic learning community. That's what Al-Fatah is trying to do, so you should look them up. She's inspiring the commitment to excellence in all aspects of life, and yes, she's also a proud mother of 3 beautiful children. I want to welcome all these sisters to the show, and we're going to jump into it. You guys ready?
Yes.
Now, first thing I want my audience to know, which they may not have known, is I could tell there was a difference when we invited 4 Muslim women to the show, because the guests started showing up 30 minutes early, you know, and I was like, man, these sisters are on it. That's why they are leading these marches and doing so much, and why it took me so long to read the introduction. These are super sisters, alhamdulillah. But I want to start with this question of unapologetically Muslimah. Because to be honest, I've never heard anyone apologize for being, oh, hello, I'm a woman, I'm sorry. I've never heard anybody say, oh, I'm a Muslim, but sorry about that. So what does it mean when somebody has to say in a speech, or somebody has to put out there at the beginning of a conversation that I'm unapologetically Muslim? And for this show, we're talking about unapologetically Muslim woman. Why do people say that? What is the importance of putting that out there? Let's start with my guest on the right.
Oh, me? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. To me, it means sort of nobody can tell you that you're not, well, it can go both ways really, right? Whether it's the non-Muslim crowd or inside the Muslim community as well.
Okay.
So it could be, in the Muslim community is that nobody can tell you that you're not Muslim enough. And in the and outside, it's like I have a right to practice religion and it's not a harmful one. And as a Muslim, I can provide to, I can provide to the greater society as well.
I'm glad you started with that we need to look at it from two angles. It can mean something within the Muslim community, because yes, we have issues within the Muslim community, and it also means something when you're talking to out. So when we speak, sometimes we're talking to multiple audiences.
Yeah.
Did you want to add to that?
I just feel like with all the rhetoric that's going around with regards to Muslims and Muslim women in particular, it seems like people expect us to apologize for being Muslim based on what they hear around them. And I agree with Imani about the fact that this might be happening within our community and outside our community as well. And so the term unapologetically Muslim is one that we don't have to apologize. We don't need to apologize.
Before I go to my guests on my other side, I want to just ask you a follow-up question about that. What do you mean? What's happening out there that makes you feel that people are expecting you to apologize for being Muslim? What are you feeling?
Well, if everything that's being said about you and your faith is negative, and nothing is positive within the media, within within schools, within businesses, you feel like if everything is being negative, then people might be expecting you to apologize for your faith, and that's not right.
Okay.
Sure. So when I think of unapologetically Muslim, I think of where it comes from, which is unapologetically black. And black folks started using that because it's about being bold. It's about being empowered and not shrinking from your identity. So in that framework, it means that you are not using coded language. You're not shrinking from who you are. If you want to say speak Arabic words at work, then you use that. If you're taking time off for Eid, then you're letting your coworkers know, and you are not assimilating whatsoever. That's what it means to me.
Now you notice. Now I'm gonna tell the viewers some stuff that happened before the camera started rolling. It's okay. It's not bad on you. It's bad on. So what she just added to the conversation was context, and knowing how these points connect in history. And knowing, because I didn't know what she just said, that it comes from being unapologetically black. And I sit here as a black man, African American, however you want to box me in. And she was educating me before the show when I didn't know who Mary McLeod Bethune was. And she had to, get all of the listeners hip to it. I think that's important that, or how important do you think it is for people to make sure that in these movements, because there's constant civil rights movements and constant equality movements and constant social justice movements, that we kind of keep track of the history of American movements?
I think it's essential. I think whenever I travel to another country, I learn about that history. And I think if we're living here in the United States of America, it's important to understand our history. And our history is a varied history. It's a history of not just one people. It's a history of Native Americans. It's a history of the enslaved Africans. It's a history of Africans, the descendants of enslaved Africans. It's a history of immigrants from Europe and immigrants from the Americas. And I understand that in learning the history of my country, of the United States of America, I'm learning the history of all people. And I value that, and I value learning where idioms and where different language and the origin of that language comes from.
Yeah.
My sister Linda Sarsour is my sister in the movement, and we all know her.
Okay.
She, really spoke about being unapologetically Muslim, and paid homage to the fact that it comes from, being unapologetically black, and that term and what it means of not using coded language and not code switching anymore, which code switching means that, when you're in a professional environment or a more mixed or mainstream environment, you're using language that will be assimilated and not necessarily threatening to someone who's different than you. But I believe in this time, it's important for us to explain who we are and to educate our folks through language and culture.
And there's a lot of education that has to happen because now America is home of everybody. Everybody from around the world has come here. America speaks so many different languages, and now we have so many different cultures. People may want us to fit into one culture, but we're different, and hopefully we can see the beauty in that. So, unapologetically Muslimah, Muslim woman. What do you bring?
So for me personally, being unapologetically Muslim means not having to hide my religion, and just being able to go about my day, do my business, have meetings, but then be able to be comfortable enough to say, you know what, I'm going to be 5 minutes late, or let's move the time for that meeting because I need to pray, or I'll be fasting, so let's not have a lunch, maybe we can do some other type of meeting. And, that actually does take a lot of courage, being able to, go to the restroom and make wudu because it's time to pray. And, there's all these jokes about it, and I think we're finally at a place in society where enough people are aware of, okay, I respect that. And that actually just being Muslim in your daily life and not hiding it and explaining it to people actually helps educate so many individuals. Like I've had employees who've come to me and said, you're the only Muslim I've ever worked with. Because in my industry, there aren't that many, at least my previous business that I was running, there weren't that many Muslims. And just having that effect and being able to educate the people that you work with who will then have a more positive experience and understanding of the religion as a whole does have a big impact.
Yeah, there's a, studies go left and right. I don't know who to quote and how legitimate it is, but there were some numbers that I heard of that about 70% of Americans have never met a Muslim. And so when you talk about what's out there about people feeling the need to apologize for being Muslim because of all the rhetoric and the TV and the things that are happening out there, and people are telling you you're the only Muslim person that I've met and that I'm working with, how important is it to really, especially for women, because I call the women the compass, or what's another word for the direction of where you need to go for the Muslim community. Because no matter where we go, people always look for where the Muslim sisters at. Oh, the event must be in that building or that building, right? Because they're looking for headscarves, and Muslim women are really leading the forefront, and you four are a huge testimony to the work that you guys are doing. Is a lot of stuff that I don't see Muslim men in, but I want to know how important is it for Muslim women to have this extreme confidence internally and externally to stand up and say, look, I'm unapologetically Muslim, the meeting's going to start 5 minutes late, this and that, or does that give you a bad starting point?
I think it depends on how you go about it. Obviously, if you're just starting out, it's intimidating. And I probably was not as confident when I first started my career. And I would probably, figure things out so I don't have to tell anybody. But as you kind of grow spiritually and you do become more confident, you kind of get to that point in your life where you have that prayer rug in your office, and when people come and say, oh, what's that? Oh, that's my prayer rug. And they're like, oh, I never knew that's what you and it's interesting that you say that so many people have never met a Muslim. I do agree that there are many people who have never met a Muslim, but I do feel that probably that statistic is a little bit off, because there are people who have met Muslims but they don't know it. So I don't think you need to, obviously if a Muslimah wears a hijab, then it's obvious that she's Muslim, but I think but for example, in my case, I could have gone through my career and not let a lot of people know that I'm Muslim. But I think it's our duty to educate people in a very, just kind of day-to-day life type of way, so they know that, you're just like them, but there are things that you do that help you in your spiritual life, and just educate them about that.
We have about 1 minute before the break. Does somebody want to add on to that conversation?
I think definitely that we shouldn't feel like the first thing we have to to do when we meet someone or talk to someone to say, hey, my name is so-and-so and I'm Muslim.
Yeah.
But definitely I agree with how you said it in terms of the way we conduct ourselves and the way we open ourselves and connect with individuals should become at a level where eventually they will know. So it's not something that comes from us, taking a bold step in directly saying it or putting it out there, but it comes more from creating those connections. Those connections are really important.
Now, for those in our listening audience who might disagree with that, that yeah, you should put it out there that you're Muslim. Let me give you my Joshua Saddam, since I'm the host of the show. Give you my add to that. That there's some prophetic example in that, or even some people would say like how Allah did with the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. That before anybody knew he was a prophet, he had been established as a trustworthy person. That people trusted him. That people knew him. And so that when it came out that he was a messenger of God, there was already this relationship with the people that this is who he is. And so, alhamdulillah, we hope that our community here understands that these Muslim sisters are out there establishing those relationships so that when we need to make big change in America, people will listen, inshallah. We're going to do some more when we come back. Don't go anywhere. There's more right here on Deen Talk.